room 7418. The one thing I would like to disclaim about room 7418, it's not in one place. This is just a reoccurrence of what happens. HIPAA prevents me from telling you the person's name, the location, any descriptors. So a lot of the times I do have to change. So the room is just a portal, and that's how we're going to leave it, because it was a particular room, but I can't say too much about it. So that room inspired all of the creepy experiences to come from that, but all of them, a lot of them did happen there. But anyways, that's that. But I enjoy reading all of your comments. I'm so grateful for all you guys following me. Yeah. So I'll try to pause in between to engage as much as possible, because I don't want to seem like I'm not engaged with my audience. I enjoy storytelling. I write. I've had a lot of spooky experiences, and I've had people sharing with me. So now I get to share them with all of you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the content that I put out. I try to be consistent and post every day, and bear with me a little bit, because if y'all seen the videos with the glasses, I had a sty on my eye. It's literally just now clearing up. So that's what the whole glasses look was about. I didn't want to scare nobody looking like what was homeboy name from the Goonies? Hey, you guys. Baby, that eye was through booking. So if you've seen the glasses videos, that's what that was all about. If you ever see it again, just know this is a reoccurring problem. I don't know. I have sensitive skin. That's why I don't wear makeup. So the people who comment about why you don't wear makeup, baby, because I really would be looking like a monster out here if I wore makeup. So I don't want to do that to myself. So as I'm seeing people file in, I just want to encourage you to like the live, comment, and if you can, send stars. I say if you can, send stars, because to Facebook, it has a lot of value. The stars to me are cool. I appreciate it because it is a monetary gift, but it's more so of a signal to Facebook to say, hey, I really, really like this content. I even sent them a penny flower or star or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? So liking, sharing, commenting will also help with the engagement. So those are all free. So please make sure you are doing those as I get into these stories. I am getting over a cold. I had a rough last 2 weeks because after I had the sty, then I had a cold. So I'm getting over a cold. I'm gonna be talking a lot, so I will pause to drink water. But if you have any questions, pop them down in the comments. And as we are going along, I'll make sure that I'm following along with the comments to answer those as well. And I'm so excited. I got 12 people in here. Hey y'all, I love y'all, and I hope y'all having a wonderful day. I mean that. Like, I'm a happy person. Like, for real, that happy song, that's me. Like, all day telling scary stories with a smile on my face. So I put out the book, The Rooms, Tales from Room 7418. The reason why I published the ebook is so that you can have, oh, thank you so much for the stars. Tyrone, you understand the assignment. I appreciate you, boo. The reason why I put out the book, though, is if you want to have a collection of stories that you can go back and reread. If you are a content creator and you want to have a collection of stories that you want to modify, those are available for you as well. I ain't no hater, baby. It's enough money out here for us all to eat. And the way I read my stories will never be the way you read them. So I will never be offended if I ever heard anybody else reading them. I just want to be completely clear. I just don't want to see my face cut out on a green screen and somebody else making money off of me. Hey, Julie, I appreciate you. You are, girl, you've been up in this thing. You bought me a coffee. You subscribed to my content. I appreciate you. Hey. So the first page is just a thank you page. I say I appreciate you. First and foremost, thank you for opening this book. Whether you found these stories out of curiosity, fear, or fascination, you are here for a reason. Hey, Dennis. To every healthcare worker who has ever felt something that they couldn't explain, sometimes there are things that you just can't chart. Or maybe you heard something that you knew wasn't supposed to be there. This book is for you. To the night shift nurses, the aides, the techs, and all the staff who walk the dim hallways while the rest of the world is asleep, you understand that some things don't follow the rules that we were all taught. Thank you, Julie, for the stars. I appreciate you. Um, to the storytellers, the ones who share their experiences quietly, cautiously, and sometimes only in the break rooms or whispers, thank you for trusting me with these stories to be retold. And to all the readers, thank you for allowing yourself to step into room 7418. And just remember, not every story stays on the page. Thank you for supporting me. And with that last line, I just want to let y'all know I literally had one of the people who bought the book. She went through and she read it and she DM'd me and she was like, I could hear your voice as I was reading the book. So it copies over. So you'll hear me in the back of your mind as you read the book. I was gonna try to pin a comment down there for pin a comment so that the link was down there, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure it out. I'm not very tech savvy. I try to be, but I'm not. So I'm working on it. Um, so thank you, Julie. I appreciate you. Hey, Lacey, thank you for joining. If you're just now joining, I'm just going to let you know the free stuff for engagement is liking, commenting, sharing the live. If you tap the screen and you like it a whole lot, that sends it out to the algorithm. If you comment something meaningful, that sends it out to the algorithm. And if you can and you want to, you can also send stars. I appreciate you all for joining me tonight. I love y'all. I don't think y'all know. We got, 10 people in here? Let me know where you guys are watching from as I get ready to go into this disclaimer because I want to make sure we have like the real ebook reading experience here, okay? So, the disclaimer is if you think that I'm talking about you, nah. And that's why I said that at the beginning of the live so everybody knows we're on the same page. This book is a work of creative nonfiction inspired by real experiences, personal accounts, and storytelling. Certain details, names, and timelines and identifying characters have been changed or altered to protect the privacy and confidentiality of individuals, patients, families, and healthcare professionals. The stories shared within these pages are intended for entertainment, reflection, and thought provoking purposes only. While many of the themes are drawn from real life environments, including healthcare settings, they should not be interpreted as factual documentation of a specific fact or individuals. Any resemblance to an actual person, living or deceased, or real events is purely coincidental or has been intentionally modified. This book may contain descriptions of illness, death, trauma, and supernatural or spiritual interpretations that may not align with all beliefs. Reader discretion is advised. Listener discretion is advised at this time. um, the author does not claim that any paranormal described are factual, but rather presents as experience, perspectives, and stories as told or perceived. By reading this book, you acknowledge that you are engaging with a collection of stories meant to entertain, provoke thought, and explore the unknown. So I put that in there because it's a legal thing. So I appreciate you guys so much reading the comments. Thank you. I like to think I'm great, but you know what? I'll be really humble and say I'm average at best. You know what I'm saying? It's so many storytellers and they have millions of followers. I just got y'all, but I appreciate every one of y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. That's why I was like, I have to get on here and do a live. And I wanted to make sure I made my 7 o'clock live. Thank you, Lacey from Oklahoma, for watching. I appreciate you, boo. Let me know down in the comments what kind of stories do you guys enjoy. I see a lot of comments about like the theme song. So like I have people who like the moral justice. I know those are like the stories, so they like those types of stories. But I always wonder, like, do y'all like the creepy, like cursed object stories? Do you like the actual hospital setting stories? Is it the nursing home stories? Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. So, the land that remembers. There are cities that you pass through, and there are cities that hold on to you. And the city that room 7418 sits in, it doesn't let go. They'll tell you that it was named after Chief Pontiac. They'll tell you that the land once used to be walking grounds for a ceremonial, respected and sacred. That's what the internet says. That's what the brochures would say. But the locals, they don't call it walking ground. They call it a resting ground. And not the peaceful kind. Long before the hospital was built, people who grew up there would tell you the same thing in different ways, with the same uneasy pause in between their words. The land remembers. You won't find it in any official record, no plaque, no archive, no documentation, but you'll hear it in the conversation, in the hesitation, in the way the voices drop when the hospital comes up. Because the hospital on the outside is everything that you would actually expect: big, modern, and clean. A place where people come to heal, but if you stay long enough or work long enough and walk those halls at nighttime, you start to notice something, a shift. Not everywhere and not all at once. Um, Thank you, Catherine, for sending love and positivity. Hey, Sharon, I see you on all of my posts commenting. I'm in a page break, so I had to engage and comment to the people I see popping up. And oh yeah, girl, I had to cook my dinner early so I can get on here with y'all because I usually be cooking dinner at this time and getting ready to sit down and have dinner with my family. If y'all had dinner, let me know what y'all had. I had barbecues and burgers. That just sounded so good to me. That's what I got outside and did today. So, anywho, on with the reading. Just one area, one hallway, one room. Room 7418. Officially, it's nothing special. Same layout, same equipment, same purpose. But ask anyone who actually worked that floor long enough, you'll get a different answer. Because in room 7418, time doesn't move the same. Clock lags behind reality, monitors glitch at the worst moments, and minutes stretch into something heavier than they should be. And when a patient passes in that room, best believe it's never quiet. There is always something, a shadow that doesn't match the light, a drop in the temperature that seeps into your bones, a presence that presses against you and presses your back against you when you're alone. Staff don't talk about it openly. They can't. Administration will shut it down every time. Equipment malfunctions, staff fatigue, overactive imagination. That's the official version, but unofficially, nurses hesitate before accepting that assignment. Security takes just a little bit longer to respond to calls from that hallway. And the experienced one, they don't joke and they don't explain. Homemade hamburger helper, that sounds good. Hey, I'm international, y'all. Told y'all. Canada. See, it's all kinds of different people watching me. I appreciate y'all for joining. We had a page break, so I just want to let y'all know where we are. I'm so grateful for you guys joining me tonight. It is really hard to go live, just so y'all know, because I know I post a lot, but like face to face, I'm shy. Like I don't like to talk a lot. I don't like to talk a lot. So there's that. But they say one thing: be careful in room 7418 because something about that room doesn't let go. Some say it's the land, that building, something permanently, something heavy on sacred ground, open something. And every renovation and every expansion and every time they try to modernize that hospital, they didn't fix it, they fed it. Because room 7418 doesn't feel like a room. It feels heavy, like a doorway. And every time a life ends inside it, it doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like a transfer, a shift, a moment where something unseen reaches through and takes hold. You can feel it when you stand there long enough, that pull and that pressure. That quiet question that creeps into your mind, whether you want it to or not. What if this place is not meant to heal? What if it's meant to collect? To the physical eye, the hospital is beautiful, structured, safe, predictable. But on a spiritual level, there are things inside those walls that don't ever want to leave. And room 7418, that is where they wait. So that is the prologue of the story and kind of like the back story of room 7418. The city that room 7418 is actually um like inspired by, I guess I should say, is Pontiac, which is actually used to be Indian land and Indian reserve at some point, per the rumors. And that's why I believe there's a lot of activity, not just at the hospital that room 7418 is in, but all the hospitals that are in within here, because it is actually, it used to be three major hospitals, but now it's only two major hospitals. But both of them have a lengthy history. One used to be a hotel, and one is buried over Indian burial ground. They don't want to confirm it, but when you read back and you start looking at it, a lot of it tracks. So that's why it's a lot of activity, and um I have a lot of stories to tell because I've seen a lot of stuff. I didn't just start seeing it though in healthcare. I've always seen and experienced had paranormal experiences, like even when I was a kid. So Samora says, I love your stories. You're better than creepypasta. I don't know about them creepypastas, but baby, when I say I be trying to make sure that the story read, I like it when y'all send me a story, and then like I had one girl, she was like, I love the way you retold my story. I like to retell the stories in a way that don't kind of put you on the spot, but make you smile and creep you out as well. You know what I'm saying? So are the stories real? Some of them are real, and some of them are a mix of fiction. Like you can tell if it's a mix of fiction because I'll kind of like, unless you can Google it, because it's one I did, you can tell. But like sometimes I'll tell you at the end. The other day I posted one about the mortuary training. That was all my imagination, baby. I am a spooky person. I do write spooky stories, so I do like to tell real ones mixed with fiction ones because you gotta mix it up. So let's see. Try to get some engagement up. Post a poll. There we go. All right. So this is my first excitement with room 7418 on. If you follow me on TikTok, this is actually like, oh, you like the nursing home stories? I like the nursing home stories too. Because it's always someone, usually if it's a moral justice, they done did some stuff in their life that they really needed to pay for it. So to hear that kind of poetic justice just does something for my soul. I'm not even gonna lie. So back to the story. Room 7418, this is my first time having an experience with this room. And this is kind of like what made me realize, like, if you caught the one video with the first sunglasses, and I was like, when I'm alone in the hall in the middle of the shit, in the back of my neck, I get a tingle in the chill. This story right here is the one that was like, I need to start telling these story times. So on the TikTok, it's split up into like 4 different stories, but in the book, I just put it as one whole story so that you can get the full experience of my first experience in room 7418. Working night shift is not for the weak. It's not just exhaustion, it's the long hours or the constant alarms. And if you guys could do me a favor, just make sure you're tapping the screen to like it. Comment. I don't care if you're just commenting, hey, or a star, or a ghost, or knife. I don't care, but comment if you like the live over and over. It just helps like the algorithm push it out just a little bit more. Um, yeah. So, anyways, um, it's not about the long hours or the constant alarms. It's what you see. Sometimes it's unexplainable. Sometimes you blame it on being tired. Sometimes you try to convince yourself it's just stress. But sometimes you know exactly what you saw and you wish you didn't. Every unit has a room people avoid. And on our floor, it was room 7418. No official reason, no documentation, just shared understanding that passed quietly from nurse to nurse. Like the hospital rooms, life starts there and sometimes ends there too. Energy lingers, and that's expected. But room 7418, that room feels different. If you ever had a patient in there, expect the call light to go off all night long. And it's not the frequency that gets you, it's the reason why they call. At the beginning of the room was empty. The charge nurse glanced at the assignment sheet and she let out a quiet laugh. And she shook her head. I'll save you some trouble and we'll feel that one last. Something okay, my bad. The poll thing came up. Um Something about the way she said that sat with me, but I brushed it off. When I finally had a moment to breathe, I decided to get ahead of things and set the room up early. Fresh linens, towels, basic supplies. Routine and normal, but the second I walked in, something felt off. Not dramatic, not obvious, just wrong. Like the air was heavy, heavier than it should be. Like the room didn't want me in there. I ignored it. I told myself I was just trying to avoid another patient. I turned on the bathroom light, stepped inside, dropped off the towels, and when I walked back into the main room, I heard it, a laugh. Soft, quick, and close. Then the bathroom light shut off behind me. I paused and let out a nervous laugh. Very funny, I said, assuming that it was one of my coworkers messing with me. Then the bathroom door slammed. Hard. Hard enough to echo. I froze. Waited for someone to come out. Nothing. No footsteps, no movement, just silence. If you're just now joining me, I'm just doing a live reading of room 7418. This is my first experience with that room. Um, so we're in the middle of the story. Come on in and tap the screen and leave a comment. I forced myself to finish up setting up. I kept my movements controlled, professional, but when I walked towards that exit, I had to walk past that bathroom again. And when I opened up the door slowly, turned the light back on, looked inside, nothing. I left the room faster than I meant to, and I didn't go back until I had to. By the time I got back to the nurse's station, I was told I was getting a patient in room 7418. Perfect timing. I was caught up, ready. The ER call report, a young woman, no significant history, an easy assignment. But before she arrived, I stepped away quickly, and when I came back, the call light for room 7418 was already on. I frowned. I tapped my coworker and said, "Did they bring the patient up already?" She glanced at the board and looked at the light. Maybe. And I walked down the hall, and the further I got, the colder it became. Not noticeably at first, but by the time I reached the door, it was undeniable. I looked inside, and the room was empty. Hey, Floyd. Yes, you did catch me live. I am in the middle of doing a live reading of the ebook 7418. Um, you don't want no part. Why you don't want no part of 7418? It don't sound like a fun place to be. Let me know. You wouldn't want to be a patient in room 7418? What you do? Let me know. What you doing? Then I glanced back down the hallway and I saw the ER staff bringing my patient. I waved forward, trying to shake the creepy feeling up my spine, but it didn't work. We did a quick handoff at the door, and the ER nurse leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "I let her walk in from here. I don't like going into that room." I forced a smile, like, great, me either. I got my patient settled, explained everything, showed her the car light, and as I turned to leave, I heard the laugh again. But this time, I didn't question it. I stepped out quickly. In the second I crossed into the hallway, the door slammed right behind me, hard enough to nearly catch my jacket. Then my patient screamed. I spun around and rushed back in, but when I opened the door, she was sitting calmly in the bed watching TV. She looked at me, confused, and I apologized, and I blamed the door, and I left again. But something wasn't right, not even close. That time, that time of night where everything, not even close, 3:03 a.m., sorry, I skipped a whole line. 3:03 a.m., that time of night where everything feels like it's holding its breath. Oh no, you out. I don't blame you. I wouldn't. Hey, nephew. KB Stacks, that's my nephew, y'all. I love him. Um, y'all want to be in room 7418? Let me know. Like, it don't sound like a good time? Paranormal time? I was charting and the call light went off. I used the intercom. Your call light is on. How can I help you? And at first, it was just a low growl. Not static, not interference, a growl. I froze and then I asked again. This time, the patient answered, "Yeah, can you send my nurse in here?" My stomach dropped. I walked down the hallway. The room looked normal, but she was sitting where I left her. I stepped inside, and that's when I saw it. Her reflection in the window, distorted, her face, but not her face. Something darker layered over it, watching me. Then the door slammed behind me. She turned slowly and looked at me. "I know it wasn't you," she said. I tried to stay calm. "Your call light is on. What do you need?" She smiled slightly and pointed to the corner. No, it's a lot of people that wouldn't. I don't blame y'all. That it was one room in particular at a hospital that I worked at, and when I say that room gave me the heebie-jeebies, and I had people that coded in there regularly, like, I feel you. It's certain places, it's certain hospitals I would not be admitted to myself, so I understand that. I didn't call you. Billy did. I looked and nothing. Looked back at her and she shrugged. "I guess I don't need anything." He moves fast. I didn't stay. I didn't ask questions. I walked out. And at the doorway, the day shift was already arriving. I blinked, confused. "You're here early?" But as I looked outside, the sun was rising. Time had slipped completely. She looked at me and said, "Oh, you must have met Billy." I forget. Yeah, she looked at me one last time and said, "Oh, you must have met Billy." Looked me directly in the eyes. "I forgive you." I frowned. And I'm like, "For what?" She like, "Missing morning meds?" She shook her head and said, "No, for him." Then she leaned in enough for her voice to drop. "Do you want to know what actually happened to Billy?" And she told me. He was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, in a new car. Hey Terry, thank you for loving my videos. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining the live. If you just joined and you haven't told me where you're watching from, let me know. So during my next page break, I can talk back to you. I'm trying to do a page and then engage. So we are kind of balanced, if that makes sense. So Billy was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, and just had gotten a new car. So if you have not heard about Billy, now you're about to get his backstory, because my room 7418 stories aren't, all of them are on Facebook right now. They're all on TikTok, and it's like 4 parts of it, and then it's more parts. So the book is all of the parts together so that you will have a place where you can go back and read all those stories in chronological order. This is going to be volume 1, because as you see, these stories that I'm reading tonight are not the ones that I have been posting lately, because there's always something going on. Hey, Florida. Hey, Jersey. So, like, I love y'all. Thank y'all for watching me. So, thank you for joining me. So, he was in a new car. He went to dinner with his family. A drunk driver ran the light. He survived the crash and he made it to the hospital, into the ICU, then a step down, then to room 7418. And his parents never left his side. His mother prayed nonstop. His father kept repeating the same thing over and over. He has time, then a mistake, an order that should have been questioned, a dose that should have been double checked, but it was signed and given. Billy coded within an hour, and they tried everything, but it was too late. They called it a complication, she said quietly, but Billy had time stolen from him. Then she whispered, "That's why he comes at night. He doesn't hurt anyone. He just keeps you longer than planned. Minutes, hours, he takes it back." I went home that morning and stared at the ceiling longer than I slept. Every sound sounded louder than it should have been. Every shadow felt like it was waiting to move. So that's the end of my story. So we got Miami, Florida, the DMV. I wouldn't put no camera in there. I wouldn't want to see what go on when ain't nobody looking. What? That would, if it wasn't a HIPAA violation in the one particular room that really inspired the series, it probably would be like a famous live feed because there is always something creepy going on in that room. So that story right there, that was my first part of my first experience with room 7418. And then the entity Billy, when he comes in, he likes to steal time from people. So if Billy shows up in the story, you're going to have a time lapse. So that's Billy's little story. So my next story and section of it, we got Jacksonville, Florida. So we got a lot of Florida. My homeboy stayed down in Florida, and I was on his live earlier, and I was like, it is so gorgeous out there. As y'all can tell, I'm in Michigan. I got a hoodie on. Okay, disclaimer, part of the reason I got a hoodie on, my hair is not combed, but I got a hoodie on. Like, it's literally cold enough for me to wear a hoodie. Horror movies and stories are my favorite. Girl, mine too. When I say I love me a good horror storyteller, I will tune in. That's why I love, like, it's a girl on here. Her name is Shonda B. She started telling stories. So I make sure that I go in and I comment on her stuff because I love me a good scary story. I think it'd be the element of surprise for me. So this next set of stories is They Don't Leave. And this is Dante's story. I have told this story in a reel before, so you may have heard it. Working in oncology changed you. You stop measuring time the way other people do. You measure it in treatments, in lab results, and how long someone has left. And one thing you learn very quickly is this: some patients don't leave right away, not completely. And Dante, he is one of mine. The patient that inspired Dante, y'all, when he died, I literally cried. I'm not even gonna hold you up. And when I got on TikTok and I had started telling my scary stories, I had to tell his story because he was so young. And when you work like as a nurse in oncology, you see a lot of different things. But when you see somebody like under 30 with like cancer coming in from multiple falls and it's metastasized, like that is literally heartbreaking. So Dante didn't happen in room 7418, but he was one of my patients. And I felt like the best way to honor him was to keep his name ain't Dante, but was to keep his story alive because he was okay, so hey neighbor, Sharon was raised in Michigan. And yeah, I like being a ghost story. That's okay. People be telling me I look like Casper with my hoodie. That's all right. I'll be Casper. I'm a friendly ghost. But back to Dante. I wanted to share his story because I we had a real close bond together. I used to joke with him. He used to always ask for me when he came on the unit. And just as much as he was crying, I was too. So some patients don't leave right away, not completely, and Dante is one of mine. The book could say one of mine, was one of mine. 28 years old, cancer everywhere, brain, liver, and lungs, aggressive, relentless, already far too gone by the time we met him. I took care of him from the beginning until the night that he took his last breath. And when I say I took care of him, I mean I watched him fight. I watched his body lose ground day by day while his mind tried to keep up. I watched his family hold on to hope long after the medicine had let go. And then one night, it was over. The room went quiet in a way that it always does. Machines still running, family crying softly. That strange softness that settles after someone is gone. I finished what I had to do: postmortem care, documentation, the routine that never feels quite routine. I then grabbed my bag and headed towards the elevator just like any other shift. But then when I got down the hallway, he was there, standing at the end of it, crying. Dante, exactly how I remembered him, but not sick. No oxygen, no lines, no weakness, just standing there. And the worst part, he looked right at me and not through me, at me, like he knew I could see him, like he needed me to. And there was something on his face that didn't sit right. Not anger, not fear, something heavier. Like he wasn't ready to go. Like something was just keeping him there. And I blinked just once and he was gone. No footsteps, no movement, Just gone. I stood there longer than I should have, trying to make sense of something that didn't make sense. I told myself I was tired, overworked, emotional, anything, but I knew what I saw. Deep down, I already understood something that I didn't want to admit. Leaving your body doesn't always mean that you leave the place. So, that was my story about Dante. And as I was reading it, I have to tell y'all this story because it cracked me up. It cracked me up. So when Dante was up in active and stuff, well, he wasn't active. They had placed him on hospice. Okay. Yeah, the younger they are, the harder it is. It is really. That was very hard for me. Him, and then there was another one. I shared her story. She was a mother of four, and she had breast cancer, and she actually both of the hospitals that I went worked at, I took care of her at both of them, and she passed at the last hospital that I was at. So that one stuck with me as well. But my story about Dante, real quick, because it's not creepy. It's to me, I thought it was funny. So they had put him on hospice, and the family was coming in and visiting because he's young, right? So the family's coming in and visiting, and he had this cousin, and she walked down the hallway. Now, sis was walking down the hallway, and I'm looking at her. She had this bag in her hand. I wish I had a baggie to show y'all because I was looking like, what the hell? So as she's coming down the hallway, I see her. Now, the family smelled like bud when they came in. I'm pretty sure they were smoking in the room. I didn't catch it. I don't know. But it smelled like a bud. And so she comes down the hallway and she's like, she walked past the nurse station. And I look and I'm like, what is that in her hand? She had this baggie that's like, it looked like a quarter, like a little quarter of baggie or something. And I'm like, did she bring? So I'm looking and as she walked past, because I'm blind, not legally, but like I need my glasses on to see things. So if even when I'm wearing them, I have to lean forward to see things. I thought it was a bag of bud. I was like, she is like brave bringing that in here. When she walked past, I seen it was corn nuts, right? Right. I know they're corn nuts. So I go with my ship. I forget about it, whatever, because I knew it wasn't anything illegal. I'm like, you good, girl. I'm not gonna mess with you. She leaves. She left the corn nuts on the register in the room. Dante turns on the call like, hey. He was like, I wasn't his nurse that night. It was somebody else. And he was like, can you send that other nurse in, the one with the freckles? So I go in, I'm like, hey, what's up? He like, my cousin, she left her bud. She left her bud over here. Bro, when I say I looked at him, like those are corn nuts, and he looked at me, I said, I looked at her when she came in. I already knew that. But me and Dante had that type of relationship. Like he trusted me, and I liked it that. I like when my patients feel good about me. It's a nurse on here. Y'all probably know about her. Her name is Jen Hamilton. I feel like I be like her to an extent with my patients. I don't work labor and delivery, but I will advocate for you. I will have your back. I will make sure you get all the care that you need. Just don't be mean to me. And even if you are mean to me, I'm probably going to be nice to you. I'll just talk about you at the nurse's station. So back to the story. They don't leave. This is another story about Billy. I picked up overtime on my old unit, and I noticed something strange immediately. Room 7418 was sealed, not broken, not under construction, just restricted. No patients, no charting, no cleaning logs, nothing. Like it didn't exist. At 2:11 a.m., the call lights goes off. The new nurse laughs it off. Probably bad wiring. She hits the intercom in silence. Then it goes off again and again. So she walks down there to reset it. The door is cracked open. The cold air is pouring out like a freezer. She pushes it open. The bed is made perfectly. Hospital corners, fresh sheets, and there's a man sitting at the edge of the bed, hands folded. Waiting. She freezes. He looks at her calmly and says, I rang because nobody has been in here for hours. She asks his name, Billy. She asks the date of birth. He gives it. Everything sounds normal until she notices the TV. Black screen, reflective. She sees herself, the bed, the IV pole, but not him. No reflection, nothing. Her chest tightens. Ears are ringing. She backs out slowly, never turning her back. Security goes in. The room is empty, bed stripped, no sheets, no patient, no chart, nothing. Stood there shaking and whispered, "Who is Billy?" I looked at her and I realized something. She had no idea she was the first person to meet him. So that was another story about Billy. This is another story. This one is about They Wait. This is about a patient that I had. I'm gonna call her Emma. Emma was a hot mess express. But I think a lot of patients that are frequent flyers to um, the hospitals, they can be a hot mess. That's okay. We all need love. All right. Emma had been coming into our unit for years, VIP patient, the kind that staff talks about before they even hit the floor. At first, she was difficult, demanding, dismissive. The type of patient to call, to press the call light constantly, just to remind you she could. But the time that she, but time has a way of humbling people. And illness, it strips everything down to the truth. By the time I got assigned to her again, she wasn't the same woman. Her body was weakened, her voice was softened, and she had been placed in room 7418, and she could no longer use her call light. Her upper body strength was gone, completely dependent. Shortly after, I walked into her room and immediately I felt it. Cold. Not hospital cold, not air conditioning. Dead cold. The kind that settles into your chest. I pushed through it and completed my assignment. Vitals, lung sounds, scans, everything routine. And then I asked, "Do you need anything else?" She looked past me, not at me, but right past me. Who was Billy? Billy was a 18-year-old that had passed away in room 7418 because of med air. Long story short, I just read his story at the beginning. So I'm not gonna go back and make everybody else listen to it, but that is who Billy is. Billy likes to come in and out of the stories. So if you read or you hear any of the room 7418 stories, you might hear his name or Dante's name dropped as well, because they both have been reoccurring throughout my career. I'll just say it like that. And I say that like when I was at those places, I seen them frequently. Um, She looked past me and calmly said, "Yes, can you tell my maid to go home? She's sitting right there. I've asked her several times." There was no one in that room, just me and her. And something in my chest tightened because I already knew that room wasn't empty. "I think she left," I told her. I held my voice steady, my body not. I left quickly, faster than I needed to, and the sun hadn't even set yet. Later that night, I came back to give her medications, and this time she wasn't alone. A woman sat quietly in her room, Latina, hands folded in her lap, dressed like a maid, still watching. I froze in the doorway, and right in front of me, she vanished. No fade, no movement, gone. I went through the motions and gave meds. Okay, okay. Thank you, Timothy, for loving the story times. I appreciate you for joining my live. If you guys are new here, drop down where you're watching down in the comments. In between my page breaks, I'll look up and say hi to you. If you can like the live, share it, comment, or if you can, send stars. Thank you. Let me go back to the story. I stayed professional. "Is there anything else you need?" Emma looked at me and said, "Yes. Tell my maid to stop blaming me for her death." I didn't respond to that. I couldn't. "I can't handle your personal affairs," I said, and I left. During my final rounds, the maid was back, closer to the bed this time. Emma's eyes were wide. "She wants to be present when I die," she kept saying. "I'm not dying." But she was. We both knew it. And when I came back the next night, Emma was gone. But the last thing my coworker told me, until her last breath, she kept repeating, "It wasn't my fault. I didn't kill you." So that is the story of Emma. This next story is not so, it's kind of creepy, but it's not like bad creepy. I have not talked this much since I taught. So excuse me. I used to teach. I liked it too. They reunite. This is the story of Helen. I'm tried to make it an hour live, so I'll be getting ready to wrap up here after this story or so. Just so you guys know, uh, this story came to me from a coworker of mine. She was assigned a comfort care patient in room 7418. Nothing unusual about the assignment on paper, end of life care, family expected, quiet rooms, the kind of shift that you should move slowly. But the moment she stepped inside, she said something felt off. Before she could even greet the patient, she heard it. A small girl's laugh, not loud, not playful, just close. The sound that makes your body react before your mind can explain it. She paused, scanning the room carefully. It was just her and the patient. No family, no visitors, and no movement. She told herself what every nurse tells themselves in moments like that. Day shift is loud. TVs bleed into the hallway, voices travel, kids visit sometimes. She brushed it off and kept working. Throughout the day, she paid attention more than usual. Relatives came in and out, but adults only. Quiet conversation, no children, not once. Still, that laugh, it stayed with her. Later, she stepped outside for her lunch break. The courtyard was one of the few places in the hospital where you could still hear your own thoughts. No alarms, no monitor, just air and space. And that's when she saw her, a little girl standing near the balcony railing, still looking down, not fidgeting, not moving like children usually do, just watching. After a moment, the girl turned around and walked over, slow, calm steps. She stopped behind the chair across from my coworker and stood there silently. My coworker smiled politely. Hi, I'm Linda. You can sit down if you want. The girl nodded and sat down. Hi, she said. I'm Helen. Sorry, overreading the comments. Hey, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining. Hey, you know what? I'm happy you called me too. And if you want to share any of those stories, you can always email me or DM me. I'm working on I got a couple of your stories that I have to get out. So I love when you guys send me stories because I like writing. So I read your story and I can remix it. I like to remix stuff. Y'all heard my songs, right? I'm a remix person. I'm a remix person, you know? Anyways, back to Helen. Her voice was soft and too calm for a child. Linda made small talk the way you do when you're trying to place a child where it belongs. Before heading back upstairs, she asked the question every nurse asks: Where are your parents? Her- Helen didn't hesitate. My dad is at the bedside with my mom. You can go. I'll be with them soon. Something about the way she said it, though, made Linda pause. She nodded, she stood up, and went to throw away her trash. And it took less than 5 seconds. And when she turned back, Helen was gone. No footsteps, no door opening, no one walking away. Just gone. Linda stood there longer than she should have, scanning the courtyard, trying to make sense of it, and eventually she shook it off and headed back inside. And as soon as she stepped inside the unit, another nurse stopped her. While you were gone, your patient began to Brady down. Her stomach dropped. She walked quickly down the hallway towards room 7418. The closer she got, the heavier the air felt. She stepped into the doorway and froze, and in the reflection of a small mirror on the bedside, she could see them, two figures standing behind the patient, a man and a little girl. They weren't blurry, they weren't shadows, they were clear and still. Watching the family in that room, they didn't act like they didn't see them. And as the patient's breathing slowed and turned agonal, someone in the room whispered softly, It's okay. We're all here. The patient took her final breath, and the oldest daughter broke down crying. Now, mom can go and be with Helen and dad again. Linda felt the air leave her chest. Helen had died decades earlier, and no one working that day had seen a child all day. So that is Helen's little story, and she popped up to come and reunite with her mama at the end. I think I'm gonna do one more story for you guys. Make sure you like, comment, send some stars if you can. I liked it, this story. This this story, this happened to me, and it creeped me out. You'll see why. I used to do home health care before I ever set foot in a hospital. One of my longest patients, I'll just call her Betty. 5 years, almost every day, I watched her decline, held her hand through the hard parts, and I was there when she took her last breath. When she passed, I thought that chapter of my life was closed. I was wrong, because 5 years later, that story came back to find me. Betty's granddaughter had stayed in that house, and life hit her harder than anyone had realized. Addiction took over. One night on my med surge floor, we got an overdose patient on comfort care. The name felt familiar, but I couldn't place it at first. She was pale, unresponsive, and barely holding on. And then I saw the room assignment. The room that every nurse talks about at night, but nobody wants. The room where the patients swear they see people standing in the corner, whispering and waiting. The room that doesn't feel like the hospital room. It feels like a doorway. I went on my hourly round and I froze because standing at the head of the bed, stroking her hair, was Betty. But that was not the Betty I remember. She was younger, stronger, and clear, like she had been waiting. She wasn't smiling, she wasn't comforting, she was crying. Her hands were shaking as she hovered over her granddaughter's chest and whispered, "I can't believe you did this to yourself." Okay, Soldier, I love to hear that. I'm glad y'all find my videos and find them easy to binge. I try to make sure that they're short enough that you want to watch them and and interesting. So I appreciate y'all binging my content. That means the world to me. Thank you. I told you I wouldn't be able to save you again. The air shifted, like something cold moved past me towards the bed, and the monitor flatlined. And right as the sound filled the room, Betty looked up at me, not angry, not confused, just heartbroken. And then she was gone. No footsteps, no fading, just gone. And that's when I understood something about room 7418. This isn't just random. Some souls come back because they never got finished saying goodbye. So I am going to wrap up this live with that. I appreciate y'all for joining me tonight. I will try to do it more often. I will put a post up with the I was trying to see how many stories is left in here. It's like 4 or 5 more stories left. I will put up a post with the link for the ebook if you guys are interested in buying it. That way you have your own collection of horror stories for you to go back and reread. I appreciate y'all for joining me tonight. And as always, you already know what I'm going to say. Have your best spooky day. Bye.